You're listening to the Jan Price Show, and my guest today is actor-director Kelly Blatz and award-winning writer and director Russell Brown, and we're going to be discussing their new film, Loren Rose, starring the iconic Jacqueline Bisset. So welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
You're welcome.
Thanks for having us. Yeah.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's a pleasure. This film had its world premiere at the Santa Barbara International Film Festival, and subsequently it's gone on to many festivals and won many awards. And it's just had a successful run. It was the talk of the festival when it was here, and a lot of people there was a lot of buzz about this film. So I'm really happy that you have a distributor now, and the world can see Loren Rose.
Well, me too. It's good to know that it was the buzz of the festival. Sometimes when you're in that bubble, you don't really know what people are saying, but
it's true. It's true. It really was. I had a lot of people come up to me and talk to me and said, you must see this film. So it was one of the films that was high on everyone's list. So Russell, you wrote this script. So why don't you give a brief synopsis of what Loren Rose is all about?
So Loren Rose is the story of a filmmaker who's making his first feature film. He's had sort of some success on the film festival circuit with a short film, and he meets with a legendary, iconic actress named Rose, played by Jacqueline Bisset, and they form a many-year friendship. You know, they work as collaborators together, but also become really close personally, and it's really the story of their friendship and how their lives change each other.
And Kelly, tell us a little bit about your character in this film.
You play
Loren.
I
do. I play Loren of Loren Rose. Yes, Loren is a young filmmaker, young artist who has just made his first short film, and he's it's come from a very personal place within his life, and he's about to embark on his first feature film. And he wants to cast the legendary actress Rose, and I think he's at a crossroads. He's trying to figure out who he is, his identity, what his creative identity is, and obviously he's very excited about doing his first feature film, but he's also trepidatious. And I think Rose becomes this not only this friend, but this voice of wisdom for him as he moves through his creative journey.
And the relationship that you two develop in this it's a wonderful journey, from the beginnings of your relationship and how it becomes deeper and deeper as as the film unfolds. What was it like for you to work opposite, truly one of our most wonderful actresses, Jacqueline Bisset, an award-winning actress, and this was one of your early films that you've done, correct?
As an actor?
No. I had been working for quite a while up until this point, but nonetheless, it was very intimidating. But I was so grateful to have the opportunity to work with her, because I also knew not only was I going to be able to work with her, but learn from her, and she was just so gracious. And she's, such a brilliant actress in this role. It was so delicious for her, and was such a beautiful script that the entire experience was so enjoyable. And even between scenes, her and I just continued our dialogue as Kelly and Jacqueline, and it was just such an enriching experience. I wish I could have done it for years, to be honest.
Well, I'm going to come back with a follow-up question for that, but I want to talk to Russell. When you wrote this, Russell, was this based on any personal experience of your own, or where did the idea come from?
Yeah, it was definitely sort of based on I've had many mentors and relationships and people who kind of taught me and given me inspiration and stuff like that. So it really is, I sort of was pulling from a lot of different experiences. There wasn't sort of one Rose. But yeah, so it was definitely personal, and there's a lot of me in that script, but it wasn't sort of a direct lift of something that happened in my life.
So when you were writing it, did you have Jacqueline Bisset in mind as the lead actress, or, because many writers, when they write a script, they visualize a particular actor or actress in that character, and sometimes they end up writing it specifically for that actor or actress. Was that the case in this film?
No, I mean, I really didn't have anybody in mind, because the character sort of existed as their own kind of people in my imagination when I was writing it.
So what was it like for you to work with Jacqueline Bisset?
I mean, it was great. Jacqueline and I spent, from the time she kind of signed on to do the movie until we actually made the movie, there was a long period of time. So we worked on the script a lot together in terms of her sort of understanding everything that the character was saying and where it was coming from and what it meant. And, she really did her work on the text. So that was really fun. And then, on the set, it was great. She's definitely been making movies a long time. So she has some real kind of opinions about, how things are lit and how things are shot. And, it was great to kind of work with her that way and feel things out.
I imagine it would be a wonderful way of learning more about the craft from somebody who's been in the business for over 50 years. That's kind of amazing in itself. In the character, too, Rose's character is not unlike what you're just describing, because she talks to, when she and Loren are having their dinners together, she's guiding Loren in his film career and what he can do, and somewhat similar. So did the scripts, as you were filming it, did it also change and unfold a little bit to accommodate her feelings and thoughts about the script?
I mean, not really. We kind of stuck to the text, because a movie like this, where there's such long scenes, one idea kind of leads to the next idea, leads to the next idea. So there wasn't really a lot to maneuver around in that way. But, and plus, Jacqueline always really loved the script. So I don't think she really felt like she wanted to change it. And to be honest, like, as a person, I find Jacqueline very different from Rose. She's not really that person at all in many ways. So, she was sticking to the character, so she was playing the character.
And for you, Loren, as you were working with her, what stood out most in that process of working together for the two of you?
I think it was interesting. It was interesting you called me Loren, because I really no. I know it's good, because I really felt much closer to Loren maybe than Jacqueline did to Rose, because I myself am a young filmmaker, and at the time I had just finished my first feature film. So for me, it wasn't a big distance for me, and in a way, the questions I was asking Rose were some of the same questions I had myself as Kelly. And so, for me with Jacqueline, obviously, in between takes, I'm asking her about what it was like to work with John Huston and Truffaut and all these, legendary directors. And so for me, it was a masterclass. And, obviously she has a 50-year career, as you said. And so for me, I without being, without annoying her, I tried to be as inquisitive as I could while I had the time. But her and I think, really developed this friendship while we were shooting in the same way that Loren and Rose did. So it was very symbiotic, and I was really sad when it ended, to be honest. But strangely enough, we've all remained friends for years after shooting the film, which has been the best part about it.
That's wonderful when that happens. Doesn't always happen, but it's wonderful when it does, when people remain as friends afterwards. So, what was the most difficult part of filming this, Russell?
Well, I always think that I was sort of, whenever I talk about what was hard about this movie, I always think that the hardest part was also the easiest part. So the hardest part was casting Loren. We couldn't find a Loren. You know what I mean? Like, it was, people came in and we cast, it was impossible. We couldn't, and I was almost going to give up on the movie because there was no Loren. Loren wasn't appearing. And then Kelly came in and gave this audition, which to this day is like still the most uncanny thing when I think about it, because, no one has ever, it's a strange thing that happened in that audition because, I've made a bunch of movies and always actors come in and they sort of interpret a part. And I'm always thinking like, oh, this is interesting. I want to watch more of this. There's like, that's what's going through my head. It's not, did they do it exactly as I imagined? Because no one can ever climb into your brain and do it exactly as you imagined. It's impossible. But Kelly did. I mean, it was like every breath and every move was, I remember watching that audition afterwards and just being like, this is strange. I don't know how this guy figured this out to do it this way. But anyway, it was both the hardest and the easiest part of making the movie.
So what specifically about his audition? This is very good for you to hear, Kelly, I'm sure.
Well, yeah, I'll give my take after as well. But yes,
okay.
Always nice to hear.
And I want your take, but what was it, Russell? Was there something really specific that you can say that in his audition really captured his character of Loren?
Well, first of all, his gentle nature with animals, which we just saw demonstrated in this shot, is definitely something that captured my attention. But no, really, it was a bunch of things. It was the mixture. It was the combination of both sort of vulnerability and confidence, which I think Loren has to have in that first scene. He needs to be, both kind of a little intimidated by Rose, but also know that he has kind of the power in that moment. And that was the audition scene we were doing played on that twist. You know what I mean? So there was that. And there was this uncanny thing that some actors are really good at doing, which is they either actually are listening or they're acting well enough to make you believe they're listening. But Kelly had this way of looking at his scene partner when we were doing those auditions that I just really believed this woman's going to keep talking to this guy because his curiosity is just, it's not even what he says. It's just the way it is coming through his eyes that he's interested in her and wants to hear what she has to say. So that was like a really kind of essential thing. And, there was another part in that first audition scene where Loren is kind of talking about a movie that sort of formed him as a kid. And you have to be able to see the current day person as a child when they're describing themselves as a child. And when Kelly was doing it, he transported me to his youth. I don't know how to describe that, but I think he does it in the movie. And I remember that being part of the audition, but it was also just the pacing of the way he was saying the words, the pauses he was giving in between the words, the emphasis he was giving to certain words. It was like very technical in that way too, about what was right in the performance. So anyway, it's a whole bunch of things, but those are the ones that come to mind now, 6 years later.
Has it been that long? Oh my goodness, a long time. All right, Kelly, how about for you? What were your thoughts about the audition? And
well, first, it's very flattering, Russell, to hear all that. I wish it was based on some sort of acting merit of mine, but I think there was two things at play. One is sometimes in the arts, there's these strange things that happen where you feel like it was meant to be. And I had just taken a couple of years off of acting to do my first feature film as a director. And this was the first script that I read when I came back. And I read it and I thought, this was made for me. It was so strange. All these little things about the script and the way, the cadence, I just thought, I understand this. I feel like this is a part of me. And I don't think it had ever happened to me before, because most auditions you're reading, you're going, I can't connect to this character. So there was just something already natural and a connection between Russell and I think. And yeah, I really feel like, it's very rare for there to be a script like this, honestly, where it almost read like a play, where we're doing 15-minute takes at a time. And for me, I loved that. And I never got the opportunity to do that. So I think there was just, again, this sort of kismet thing between Russell and I when we met. So yeah, very grateful for it.
There was another uncanny thing too, Jan, is I went home actually and I started doing some research on Kelly, and I saw this short film that Kelly had directed. And it was so weird because I watched this movie. I didn't know Kelly. Like, I didn't know anything about him. He came in an audition, And I was I watched this short film that he did, and I was like, this is so weird. Like, this guy made a movie that is so like the movie that my character would have made. It was like Kelly had actually made this short film that was so in the spirit of the type of movie Loren would have made. So it just felt, it was so right.
Wow, that's uncanny. It really does sound like there was a spiritual connection throughout this film, obviously, with everyone.
Oh, I believe it 100%. Absolutely.
Yeah. When those things happen, you got to know that there's something else working there to make the magic happen. This is such a difficult business to make movies in. So when you find that chemistry, that magic, you got to bottle it, and it comes across on the screen too. I mean, that's the thing that it comes across on the screen. You filmed this at a wonderful restaurant was it the Rosewood in Topanga Canyon? Is that where you filmed this?
Yeah, but that's actually not a restaurant. It's actually an abandoned hair salon. When we filmed there, we turned it into that restaurant. It was a hair salon that had been repurposed into a community center, but it had never actually been a restaurant. So we created the restaurant.
How did you find it, and how were you able to do that? Was it obviously not being used at that point in time?
We found it by, I can't really remember, but there were, we just were going through sort of location scouting options. And then it was Leah Mann, our production designer, who really, took what was in the script and created that environment, which is sort of this kind of magical restaurant that might have sprung from Rose's imagination, of color and exotic food and kind of wild, sort of a almost, I don't know, adventure-like restaurant.
Well, the restaurant and the maitre d' are definitely another character in this film, for sure. And the food. I mean, the food is just like, it looks amazing. So, who did you find as your chef to create these beautiful, because the food is beautiful. It looks delicious.
Well, the food is all, described in the script, so it was really just sort of executing what was in the script. But we did have a food designer whose name was Sierra, who also appears briefly in the movie as one of the people at the auction. She raises a paddle at one point. So she did an amazing job, like just, taking the descriptions of these things and turning it into things that like the actors could actually eat. So anyway, yeah, that's how that happened. You
always wonder whether they actually eat the food or not. And how many takes.
In this case, we did. I mean, honestly, you think I'm here, I'm offered this film where I'm sitting across from Jacqueline Bisset and I have to eat all this delicious food. There was no downside to it. It was really very delicious.
I can imagine it would be the whole experience would be totally delicious. Let's talk about Jacqueline's costumes, because they also were. I thought they were how they changed also throughout the film. But her costumes were wonderful. So let's talk about your costume designer.
I'm glad you mentioned Jessica Fuller, because I was actually just texting with her this morning. Jessica came in to her, I guess, audition or job interview, whatever you want to call it. And she goes like, I have to do this movie. Look at who's on my screensaver on my phone. And it's Alla Nazimova, who in the movie, Rose has wanted to do a one-woman show about Alla. So like Alla was kind of Rose's spirit animal actress. That was always sort of how I thought of her. Like Rose sees herself in the tradition of Alla Nazimova. So, Jessica just saying, I know who that is, and I think we should dress Rose like Alla was the idea. So that's how that happened. And when she said that, I was kind of, and also on top of that, I just fell in love with Jessica. She's like really fun and bubbly and good sense of humor. And you could just tell all that in the first meeting. So, that was her approach. And, with Kelly, we just dressed him in my clothes all the time.
That's what I was going to say, is that I said, Jessica, I think we should just really be inspired by Russell. So can we pull from his closet? And she was like, yeah.
One thing, actually, Loren wears this great purple suit in one of the scenes where he has dinner with Rose and her daughter, and everybody was like, "That suit looks so good on Kelly. Like that suit was made for him." So we bought the suit and told Kelly to keep it as a wrap gift because it was like everyone who saw him in that suit thought it was great, and of course they gave me a kimono because they thought I looked funny in a kimono. So that was my wrap gift.
How fun. It's fun. So you not only gained a role, you got a suit out of it too.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's so much. I mean, the best thing being their friendship,
That's great. How long was the shoot?
It was 13 days, as I recall. 12 days or 13 days, something like that.
A lot of films, independent films, are around that schedule. I've heard some that are like even shorter. So it's always like, how did you make a film in 9 days or whatever? Even 13 days. It's a lot. But this mostly takes place in one place, so it's a little bit easier, I suppose.
Yeah, so it was 9 days in that restaurant. So it was we broke up the 3 scenes into 3 days each. So it was basically around 9 pages a day, 3 days each. So that was 9 days, and then there was 2 days in the auction sequences. So that room needed to be dressed, and there was a whole bunch of stuff that needed to happen. So that was 2 days there. And then I think we had 2 days of sort of like little miscellaneous scenes, like the scene with the daughter, and there were little things where we had to sort of jump around.
Right. So let's talk about the auction scene. Where did you, your production designer, come up with the things that you decided to auction in this film?
Well, all the auction items were really scripted also, like what the things that are going up for auction, especially the nun's habit, is sort of a key prop. It's the first shot of the movie is like this bizarre, like nun's head coming out of a box, which I always thought was like a great starter image for a movie. It's like kind of like, what's going on? And then the sort of idea of that sequence was always at the end of Citizen Kane, they're going over Kane's kind of property in this huge warehouse, and it's like this, it seems like an endless, kind of warehouse full of boxes and stuff that he's accumulated his whole life. And then it lands on the sled. So the idea was sort of like, this is supposed to feel like kind of all the detritus and mess of someone's life left over in this auction stuff.
It's an interesting scene with all of those things for sure. And you feel sad when you see all of those things be auctioned off after all that time. Kelly, what's next for you?
That's a great question. I'm doing more of the writing and directing these days. So I'm working on a new script for a film. So yeah, I know that's very vague, but
that's okay. Well, we'll have you back on when you have that when that's done. You can talk about the film.
Oh, thank you.
I can get specific about Kelly. He had a big hit movie on Amazon last summer, which is a huge movie that Kelly wrote and directed. It's called One Fast Move. You should all see it. It's an incredible movie.
Okay.
Yeah, set in the world of motorcycle racing, but it's really the heart of it is a father-son story. So that's Kelly's. You want to see Kelly in action as a director, you should really see that movie.
And that's on what streaming service did you say?
Kelly, it's on everything.
It's on Prime.
It's on
Amazon Prime.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh.
Well, we'll look for that for sure.
And how about for you, Russell? What's next for you?
I have a play that I wrote that's currently running in Los Angeles, so that runs through February 16th. So that's like my current thing that's going on.
And I'll chime in and say it's fantastic. I was there on opening night.
And what's the name of the play? Go see it. What's the name of the play?
It's called Listing. It's set in the world of historic real estate, historic preservation and real estate.
Wow, that's got to be fascinating too, for sure. Where can people see Loren and Rose? Where can people seek it out?
You can rent it on Amazon. Amazon is that is the best way to see it.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, everybody seek out Loren and Rose. It's a lovely little film. And as I said, it's won all kinds of awards. So definitely seek out Loren and Rose on Amazon for sure. So thank you both for being on the show. It was a pleasure. I'll have you both back on with your next projects.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jan. That was fantastic. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. For all my loyal listeners, if you would like to monetarily support the Jan Price Show All About Movies, you can now give a tax-free donation to the Jan Price Show, and you can go to creativevisions.org. That's creativevisions.org, and go to the podcast section, and you'll find the Jan Price Show All About Movies, where you can give a donation there. You can make it monthly. You can make it one time, however you'd like to. But know that by donating to the Jan Price Show All About Movies, a percentage of that goes to helping to support independent and documentary filmmakers. So it's a win-win. You get a tax-free deduction. You support independent films and documentaries, and you support the Jan Price Show so I can continue to give a voice to independent and documentary filmmakers. So thank you all in advance. And thank you again, Kelly and Russell, for being on the show today. I wish you much success.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. I love your cat, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
The cat upstaged all of us. I don't know how I feel.
I think he did upstage all of us, but he was very, 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 very good. So thank you for, what's your cat's name?
Tiger.
Tiger. Well, welcome to Tiger. He got his, he didn't have to audition. He made his premiere today. So premiere screening.
Take care. Have a great day.
Take care. Thanks. Bye-bye.